our next story here about Joe Biden. You know, Joe Biden is not looking too good right now. There are the polling numbers. There are his mishaps with his speeches or just walking across the stage. He has a number of challengers for the presidency for 2024. But to make matters worse for Joe Biden, it appears that the House may be moving forward with impeachment. Now, this is in reference to those business dealings that Joe Biden had in Ukraine. Kevin McCarthy is not playing around. And I want to go ahead and get into this clip first. Now, Simon Etaba, he's a journalist, a White House journalist. You've seen this guy a lot. He was the one that complained he was being censored by the press secretary. So he actually shared this. It says, Speaker McCarthy says the United States House of Representatives is getting ready to impeach Joe Biden. Here it goes, folks.
That they bribed the Bidens, okay? This was given to the FBI. When Bill Barr finally found out about it, he sent it to his office in Philadelphia. They actually said that this was very credible. The FBI kept this from the IRS individuals for them ever to see it. So not only do they claim that they were bribed, we now find information that 16 out of 17 payments from Romania were provided to the Biden shell companies while he was vice president. When President Biden was running for office,
let's just pause there and go back, because this piece right here, I think, is very important, because originally when we discussed this, we talked about this, about his business dealings in Ukraine. We didn't go as far back as his vice presidency. So now we're hearing information that goes all the way back to when Joe Biden was vice president under the Obama administration. So this goes back many years. Let's hear this again.
The Bidens, okay? This was given to the FBI. When Bill Barr finally found out about it, he sent it to his office in Philadelphia. They actually said that this was very credible. The FBI kept this from the IRS individuals for them ever to see it. So not only do they claim that they were bribed, we now find information that 16 out of 17 payments from Romania were provided to the Biden shell companies while he was vice president. When President Biden was running for office, he told the American public that he's never talked about business. He said his family has never received $1 from China, which we now prove is not true.
Whoa. Okay. Remember, we talked about this before, that Joe Biden may have been involved in some type of bribe. The fact that Kevin McCarthy is saying here that the FBI kept this information from the IRS is very telling, while at the same time, the IRS is trying to attempt to prosecute someone like Matt Taibbi just for doing his job of being a journalist. Matt Taibbi doesn't have business dealings in Ukraine. Do you see what's happening here? You see how the FBI, which the FBI director did testify in front of Congress, you see how the FBI was trying to protect and run cover for Joe Biden. Now, this goes all the way back to when Joe Biden was vice president. So either they were trying to protect him back then because he was vice president, or because they knew there was a possibility that he would run for president. Why is the FBI protecting political officials? Is it their job to go after domestic terrorists? Shouldn't they be out trying to catch, I don't know, a serial killer somewhere? But this is what they're doing, protecting people like Joe Biden. So if you did not see the interview I did with Tara Reid earlier this afternoon, you need to watch that interview, because one of the things that Tara explains is how far someone like Joe Biden or someone like the Clintons are connected with government agencies and very powerful people that protect them at all costs, regardless of what they do. This should concern all of you. I don't care if you're a Democrat or not. It should be very concerning to you that here we are right now, where we have this war between Russia and Ukraine, where if we go back to the beginning, where they tried to have some type of a negotiation, but that was shot down, where we have NATO, which has escalated this war. Here we have all of that. We have a president who is continuing to unequivocally send more money to Ukraine to continue and prolong this war. And all along, he had business dealings in Ukraine. I call that a little bit suspect. Let's go on. Let's hear what else he's got to say.
We now have some of the most credible whistleblowers. These 10-year IRS agents who have come forward said that the Biden family has been treated differently, that what Weiss has told us is different than what Garland and Weiss has told the public. And you're sitting here today where now you have found millions of foreign money, just what the 1023 alleges they did to Biden's family. Now we found that it has funneled through shell companies. If you're sitting in our position today, we would know none of this if Republicans had not taken the majority. We've only followed where the information has taken us. But Hannity, this is right.
Now, I am not a Republican, but I think Kevin McCarthy is correct there. I believe that if the Democrats would have held the House, this wouldn't even happen right now. This investigation into Joe Biden's dealings, his business dealings, would not have happened. Now, if the president was Donald Trump, that would probably be a different story. They probably would investigate business dealings of the president at that point in time. But think about that for a second. You wouldn't even know about this. Maybe you would have heard about it from an investigative journalist, maybe someone like Max Blumenthal or Aaron. Maybe they would have been able to uncover something like this in the gray zone, but they tend to focus more heavily on foreign policy. But do you see where we're getting at here? It shouldn't even take this. It shouldn't even take having another party in power in the House to reveal corruption of the U.S. president. But this is what happens. The same thing happened under Donald Trump. This is the problem with partisan politics. There should be justice regardless which party has control over the House. But that's not the way that this works.
To the level of impeachment inquiry, which provides Congress the strongest power to get the rest of the knowledge and information needed. Because this president has also used something we have not seen since Richard Nixon, used the weaponization of government to benefit his family and deny Congress the ability to have the oversight.
When you have just been compared to Richard Nixon. Oh my God. Yikes. Joe Biden doing everything that he can to protect his family. And I've said this thing before about Hunter Biden and this laptop, which when Judge Joe Brown was here, he said there's multiple laptops, not just one. But with Hunter Biden and this laptop, again, Joe Biden protecting his family. You know, why would the FBI, why would these government agencies reach out to Twitter executives and tell them to suppress that laptop story about Hunter Biden? Why? Who nudged them? Who gave them the push and said, oh, got to cover that up? They're all corrupt. They're all corrupt. And it's interesting. The people who are the most corrupt, the people who are the most vicious, they're the ones who end up in power. You see how this works? The people doing the right thing, the people who are abiding by all the rules and the laws, those people don't usually end up in power. It's the people who are corrupt.
If we are talking about millions of dollars coming from our top geopolitical foes, and that the Biden family has been corrupted and took in all of this money, and he was complicit in that, wouldn't that mean that we have a criminal enterprise as president of the United States that had to be on every level compromised by countries that are not particularly fond of us?
Well, it's interesting that the Biden family runs, if they say, a company but never had an office and shell companies to be able to pay through. But if they really ran it for foreign countries, why didn't you get money from France, from Germany, from UK? Why does it have to be from China, Romania, in these countries that have real challenges and had...
And as much as Joe Biden fearmongers about China, he didn't have any problem taking their money, though. You see how that works? He didn't have any problem taking their money.
from UK? Why does it have to be from China, Romania, in these countries that have real challenges and had problems going through? I believe we will follow this all the way to the end, and this is going to rise to an impeachment inquiry the way the Constitution tells us to do this, and we have to get the answers to these questions.
And here we are heading into the 2024 presidential election. You know, karma is an interesting thing. Remember when the Democrats had majority of the House and they tried to impeach Donald Trump? Probably didn't expect this to happen, but this is karma. This is karma. Now, the New York Post actually posted about this as well. GOPers demand Biden impeachment after Hunter's ex-business partner reveals alleged calls. Must be held accountable. So let's listen to this. Hunter's buddy here spilled the beans. Some Republicans on Monday demanded House Speaker Kevin McCarthy begin the process to impeach President Biden after the Post revealed a key witness saying first son Hunter Biden frequently put his father on the phone with foreign business associates. So if that is the case, that makes Joe Biden complicit. If that is true, for all the people who have come in to defend Joe Biden, they're all over social media, that have come in to defend Joe Biden, and they've made this claim that, well, you can't blame Joe Biden for his son's mistakes. Okay. But if this is true, and Joe Biden was on these phone calls with foreign business associates, now you can blame Joe Biden. You see how that works? Let's continue. One of Hunter Biden's closest partners, Devin Archer, is expected to describe the alleged damning calls involving the president at an upcoming hearing of the House Oversight Committee. Oh, man. Archer's explosive anticipated testimony comes on the heels of last week's release of an FBI informant file that said Hunter and then Vice President Joe Biden coerced a Ukrainian oligarch to pay $10 million in bribes to dodge a corruption probe. Boy, I tell you, House Republicans should initiate impeachment proceedings against President Biden. That's coming from Representative Jim Banks. Joe Biden was trading his personal influence to enrich himself and his family and must be held accountable for selling out America. A source close to McCarthy said Kevin will never go all in on a former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi style sham impeachment. That's not what Kevin just said in the interview we just watched. Oh, no. But the evidence is piling up, and he's getting more bullish on a Biden impeachment, a source said. And there's Hunter and Joe Biden there. As soon as there's clear, convincing evidence directly tying Biden to Hunter's shenanigans, the moderates will jump on board. There you go. We've been talking to them. Not looking good for Sleepy Joe. Representative Claudia Tenney tweeted in reaction to Archer looming testimony, Joe Biden committed crimes in plain sight. Yet, the Biden Department of Justice is covering up his corruption. It's time for impeachment. And to the people who consider the lesser of two evils, the people who continue to tell me just vote blue no matter who, evil is evil. I don't know how many times I can express that to people, but there is no lesser of two. You know, it's like being sort of pregnant. It's like you're pregnant or you're not. So you can't do this. So for the people saying, well, yes, I like the fact that a third party person is running, and I like the fact that there are people running on progressive issues in the Democratic Party running against Joe Biden. But at the end of the day, if it ends up being between Biden and Trump, you got to vote for Biden. How many times have you heard people say that? What they leave out is if it ends up being between Biden and Trump, you should vote for the third party or independent candidate that's left in the race. They leave that part out because at the end of the day, their job is to keep you in the Democratic Party, not to get you out of it. You got to understand that. That's how this works. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said Monday that the president stood by his blanket assertion that he never discussed international business dealings with his son. You mean just like Bill Clinton said, I never had sexual relations with that woman. Although the rep did not dispute the claim that Joe Biden was on speakerphone with his son's foreign associates. Of course not. I've been asked this question a million times. This answer is not going to change. The answer remains the same. The president was never in business with his son. I just don't have anything else to add. And she knows this because of how? She wasn't the press secretary during this time. But her job is to lie and cover for the president. Archer's planned testimony fleshes out already significant evidence of Joe Biden's role in Hunter's dealings. A source with the Oversight Committee said Archer is set to sit for a transcribed interview Monday, July 31st. So mark your calendars, guys. There is evidence that Joe Biden met in person with Hunter's associates from China, Mexico, Kazakhstan, Russia, and Ukraine. So Joe Biden can do business with China and Mexico and Russia, but he doesn't want them to do business with anybody else. Isn't this what this really is about? The anger and frustration that he has against countries like China and countries like Russia is business, is economics. He doesn't want them to succeed. He doesn't want them to surpass the United States economically. He doesn't want them to be able to stand on their own, but it's okay for him to do business with them. In addition to meeting with his American partners, and that Hunter complained in records on his abandoned laptop that he had to give half of his income to his dad. How old is Hunter Biden? Okay. Let's continue. Hunter also rode aboard Air Force Two on official trips to China in 2013 as he set up a state-backed investment fund called BHR Partners, whose incoming CEO, Jonathan Lee, met Vice President Biden in Beijing. So again, going back to his vice presidency, just FYI, guys. Hunter also flew the taxpayer-funded jet to Mexico in 2016 with an associate as he courted that nation's business elite, whom his father had hosted the preceding year at the official vice president's residence in Washington. Archer intends to say he was present for about 24 phone calls in which Hunter put his dad on speakerphone with foreign associates, including about half dozen instances in which Joe was specifically introduced to others. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, if those phone calls, if any of them were recorded, Joe Biden's going to look really bad, considering the statement he gave that he was not involved. In an alleged December 4th, 2015 call, Hunter phoned his father from Dubai after Burisma owner Mikola and executive Vadman asked him to get his dad to show support for the firm when he visited Kyiv 3 days later, according to Archer. Whoo! Now, this is Devin Archer here in the picture. They better protect Devin before the 31st. I'm telling you, it's unclear if Archer, who met with VP Biden as he joined Burisma's board in early 2014 alongside Hunter, will provide additional context about the $10 million bribery allegation in which Joe Biden allegedly got paid to force out Ukrainian prosecutor general Viktor Shokin. All this money, $10 million. We've known that President Biden lied about not discussing Hunter's overseas business dealings. It certainly wouldn't surprise me to learn he was far more involved. That's coming from Senator Ron Johnson. I hope House investigators will ask Devin what he discussed with then VP Biden in the White House on April 16th, 2014, 5 days before Biden traveled to Ukraine and 6 days before Archer joined the board of Burisma. The dates of these events are not coincidences. The president has sought to laugh off the bribery allegation. Where's the money? But the Oversight Committee is investing the claim, as well as references on Hunter Biden's laptop to Burisma opening a Maltese bank account in 2016. Where's the money? He could have done what a lot of rich people do. They hide that money. Maybe he hid it in offshore accounts. There's ways to hide money. Where's the money? You think he would be dumb enough to just have it in an American bank account? No. 2 IRS agents testified last week to the House Oversight Committee that Joe Biden blocked tax fraud charges against his son and that prosecutors in Delaware thwarted standard investigative steps and prevented agents from analyzing the president's role in international income. So once again, another example of Joe Biden protecting his son. And here's the thing, and I got to bring the class issue into this for a second, because the rest of you, if you're working class, hell, even if you're middle class nowadays, or if you're poor, you don't have the type of resources and you don't have the network that Joe Biden has to protect your kids from something like this. If you get caught or your kids get caught, they're busted. They're held accountable. They have to deal with justice. But people who are rich, people who are wealthy, who are prominent figures, a lot of these politicians, and some of them are millionaires, these people have the resources and the network to get away with murder. Literally. That's why the Clintons don't get in trouble. That's why Bill Clinton, think about it. Bill Clinton, there was solid DNA evidence showing that he lied about not having the affair with Monica Lewinsky, who was an intern, by the way, in the White House. And he could get away with that and remain to be president. Bill and Hill, the Whitewater scandal. They were able to get away with it, throw the other partners under the bus, and walk away with their hands clean. Rich people have resources and they have the means to get out of these types of situations. Poor folk, working class folk, and even middle class folks do not. There is no fair justice system because money runs everything. And we'll read this part here. The latter incident occurred even though a threatening July 2017 text message from Hunter to a Chinese government-linked business allegedly directly implicated Joe Biden, preceding the transfer of roughly $5 million to Hunter Biden-linked bank accounts. And then, they were dumb enough to have linked accounts. We will see what will happen. I will tell you what I think. I do not believe that Joe Biden didn't know about Hunter Biden's business dealings. I think he knew. I think he was also involved. But we will see what will happen. Because the thing is, even if it does pass in the House, the question is, will it pass in the Senate? And that's what we're going to have to wait for to see. I don't think it will. I don't think it will pass in the Senate. But here we are. They're all corrupt. They're all corrupt. Thank you for the super sticker, Baza. Thank you for the super chat, Oz. What's up, Oz? Sabrina is a beacon of light that illuminates the path of integrity, and those who fearlessly speak truth to power embody the essence of courage and conviction. Oh, thank you. Sabby's coming for the liars. Sabby is real hope and change we need. Oh, thank you, Oz. It's not just me. There are a lot of other truth tellers out there. But thank you so much for that. What's up, Hardlins? Great work on the Hill, Sabby Sabs. Thank you so much. What's up, JB says rich people are the only people with freedom and liberty. That's right. That's right. Poor people go to jail. Rich people get good lawyers that are able to get them out of jail. Think about that. Sebastian says, remember, Joe Biden is the main architect of mass incarceration that imprisons men like Hunter Biden. There you go. But not his son.